The first thing you need to know about this video is that it is very likely to offend you. I'm going to be showing some very dark findings and associating them with England and Israel. So if that kind of thing is likely to offend you, you shouldn't be watching. With that said, there are no real new targets in this video. I think I've shown everything before. This is just additional evidence to show the validity of the date, December 17th, 2022, and just how deep the corruption goes. 95% of this video is associated with England and Israel. There are a few other things that are kind of random thrown into this video that I just had to put somewhere. But it's all very good evidence. The only intro to this video is the royal motto, apparently, never complain, never explain. This was a few months ago. Looks like it was August. I was standing in line at the grocery store and someone in front of me just couldn't figure out how to swipe their card and pay. Story of my life. And my mind started wandering. I looked around at the gossip magazines and I saw this. Never complain, never explain. And I thought maybe there's something there if they've had that motto for over 100 years. And it led to a lot. Start with the day Queen Elizabeth became Queen Elizabeth. There are two dates we need to know about her. The day she became queen and the day she was coronated a little over a year later. Both of those dates can be written as 6-2. Queen in the very first cipher. And the year she became queen was when her father died. And we saw in the Major League Baseball video that wasn't real. But we're told he died naturally, 1952, never complain, never explain. She had gotten married a little more than 4 years earlier, and this is what happened to her father when he died on this date. Blood sacrifice. Israel had declared its independence on May 14th, 1948. What will we get if we sync that date with the Queen's ascension to the throne, the death of her father? Star of David, Elizabeth Alexandra Mary, Queen Elizabeth II. This is the kind of thing I'm going to be showing in this video. It's going to offend a lot of people. I don't care. These are numbers. Don't get mad at me. Get mad at somebody else. I'm just matching up numbers. And the date she was coronated, like I said, also spells queen. It can be written as 6-2. And the year 1953, British nobility. If we date to September 11th, 2001, never complain, never explain. Princess Diana. We showed how her death was synchronized with December 17th, 2022. Spells out the Citadel, the military college of South Carolina. What if we synchronize it to September 11th, 2001? Never complain, never explain. These people get the numbers right. They choose their dates very, very carefully. What if we date from the Queen's coronation to Diana's death? Monarchy of the United Kingdom. What if we date from the Queen's ascension and her coronation to Charles and Diana's wedding? New World Order, British Crown. We'll be seeing a lot of New World Order in this video. Date from Charles and Diana's wedding to September 11th, 2001. Freemasons, the Pentagon. Date all the way back to the founding of America on July 4th, 1776, to Charles and Diana's wedding, British monarchy. Date from Will and Kate's wedding to September 11th, 2001. British Empire. Connect the World Trade Center's first day of construction to the day it was razed to the ground. Blood sacrifice again. Star of David again. Charles's birthday. Sync that with December 17th, 2022. Prince of Wales. He held that title for probably more than a half a century. Charles and Camilla's wedding, April 9th, 05. Connect that to December 17th, 2022. We're going to get some interesting stuff here. Jesus of Nazareth, British monarchy, never complain, never explain. And if you're wondering about that Jesus of Nazareth, Camilla Parker Bowles looks a lot like that name, and her maiden name, Camilla Shand, God's chosen people. She looks the part. She definitely looks the part. Prince Philip died April 9th, 2021. And when he died, he was the longest ever serving royal consort. He served for this length of time. We're going to date from his death to the Queen's ascension, and then forward in time to December 17th, 2022. Royal consort. And if it were one more day, they would have had never complain, never explain. Now this is called the Colo rule. This cult that does these things, whoever they are, they have this thing called the Colo rule, where they could add or subtract 1. It's a fudge factor. They could just add or subtract 1 anytime they need to. This is the only time in all my videos that I'm ever invoking the Colo rule. Only time I've ever seen it used. They couldn't push his death back to the 10th. That would have messed up royal consort. Can't have that, so you're going to have to just live with this, apply the Colo rule, call it a day. Can't win them all. And finally, the last royal we're going to look at is the Queen Mum. She was Queen Elizabeth's mother. Sync her death to December 17th, 2022, and you get her full name, Elizabeth Angela Marguerite Bowles-Lyon. And this was all I had found at first, but then I decided that they had to have done more than this. There must be something else synced with that date too. New York University Medical Center. Grossman School of Medicine. The Grenfell Tower Fire. This was a real crime. It's called a tragedy, but it was a real crime. 72 people died. 6 people died. Let's connect that date with the Queen's coronation, June 2nd, 1953. We get the very wicked verse that we see again and again, the verse 666. And just so you know, this isn't some kind of coincidence. This is Revelation 13:18, just like Grenfell Tower. Located in some section of London, I guess, called North Kensington. We haven't dated forward yet. Let's date forward to December 17th, 2022. Grossman School of Medicine again. Joan and Joel Smilo Research Center twice. Tired of seeing that by now. Now, I don't think anything was as bad for England as this Aberfan disaster. More than 100 children, as you see here, and more than 24 adults were killed in this so-called disaster. This was in Wales. We're going to date that back to the founding of Israel. New World Order in Jewish. Star of David. And wait a minute, it gets even worse. This is why it happened on that day. This was not a disaster. I told you it would be offensive. Date forward in time to December 17th, 2022, St. John's. A ship called the Achille Lauro was hijacked by the Palestine Liberation Front on October 7th, 1985. Just a few months ago, people were tweeting about it. A Jewish man was killed I don't know if the ship sank. I don't know what happened after that. Going to connect that with December 17th, 2022. Star of David again. And if you turn the word Akil upside down, I've said this again and again, they turn words upside down, make them numbers, and then match the numbers with dates. December 17th is the Pope's birthday. He's going to be 86. In months, that's 1032. We'll see what 1032 spells out. And we'll also date back from December 17th to the day he was inaugurated, I guess. What's the term for Pope when you get a new Pope? The day he was brought in. Star of David, again, 603 score and 6. Watch the last video, you'll see another little message that's in there. Can't spill the beans for the last video. Now Pope Benedict stepped down to make way for Pope Francis. What will we get if we sync the first day of his papacy to December 17th, 2022? Who are these people? Who are these people? Look at this. His full name, right there. And that verse again. Now we sync his last day to December 17th, 2022. 603 score and 6. I'm going to back up just so you can see this stuff. His last day as Pope. His first day as Pope. Here's his predecessor, his successor. Look at this stuff. If you're one of those people that think the Pope is the Antichrist, these numbers do not disagree. And again, I told you this would be offensive. If you don't want to hear about the Tree of Life shooting in Pittsburgh, stop watching. The Tree of Life synagogue shooting in Pittsburgh, October 17th, 2018. Tree of Life, or La Simcha Congregation is its full name. It comes to 666. 216 weeks before the big day. That's 6 times 6 times 6. It was in the section of Pittsburgh called Squirrel Hill. 666 is the number of the beast, Squirrel Hill. Now we have to sync it with the Queen's death. Tree of Life or La Simcha Congregation in Satanic. United Kingdom in squares. I told you this would be offensive. Oh, and there's more. Pittsburgh. Never complain, never explain. The Cuban Missile Crisis. Now this was supposed to be a true emergency. This was supposed to be the closest the U.S. ever came to nuclear war. It lasted like a month. Started on October 16th of 62. We're going to sync to the founding of Israel, and then we're going to sync forward to December 17th, 2022. So this is a nuclear threat, a nuclear crisis, we were told, and we're syncing to the founding of Israel. So we can expect to see something nuclear and something Jewish. Here's your nuclear. Here's your Jewish. They were just messing with us. It's a farce all along. The numbers lined up. They pulled the stunt. They said it was real. Put the nation in a panic. It wasn't real. If you've watched the intro video, you've seen part of the Chernobyl so-called disaster. Now we're going to see the whole thing. This disaster occurred in the year 1986, just like mass energy equivalence, the nuclear concept. Sync with the Queen's birthday. It's like a birthday present for British Empire and Satanic. Sync with the founding of Israel. What do we get there? State of Israel. Who was behind this? You have to wonder. Maybe they're all the same people. Now we want to look forward in time. Sync this with this December 17th, 2022. What are we going to get? The Masonic motto, or at least one of them, is circumscribe our desires and keep our passions within due bounds. We're going to sync with September 11th and December 17th, 2022. Circumscribe our desires and keep our passions within due bounds. The bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki sync with the Queen's death. You got both nuclear concepts for her. 771 and 7713, because these bombings were 3 days apart. Both of them. I'm not making this up. This is the concept. Mass times speed of light squared. That's where that one comes from. Sync with the big day coming up. You get mass times speed of light squared again. Columbia University. The Simpsons movie, remember that? Came out in 2007. Looks like Jesus of Nazareth. What do we get if we sync that with December 17th? John 3:16. Martin Luther King. Now this one is a real doozy. A real doozy. We're going to start by syncing it to the founding of Israel. Then we'll sync it forward to September 11th, 2001 and December 17th, 2022. It looks a little bit flimsy when you sync it back to the founding of Israel. All you get is the Freemason Southern Jurisdiction USA 1376. So it looks a little bit flimsy, but not when you sync forward to September 11th. Then you get both of them. You get what we just saw, synced with Israel, and this comically long title of theirs. And that date he died, 4468, what might that spell? Ho 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 ho. Unreal. I told you it was a doozy. Haven't even synced forward to December 17th yet. Library of the Jewish Theological Seminary. We've seen that before in the Columbia University video. As we have seen Cathedral Church of St. John the Divine. The World Trade Center was attacked twice, once in 93 and once when it was destroyed on September 11, 2001. Connect those dates, what do we get? These guys again. 10216, 10216. Now we're going to pivot into the NBA. Two Boston Celtics. Now their luck ran out in the late 80s, early 90s. That luck of the Irish really ran out. Two Celtics died. One in 86, one in 93. Len Bias was a Celtic for about a day. I mean, here he is on draft day, and it was like a day later that he died of an overdose, we were told. Reggie Lewis played for the Celtics for a few years, and he died of, I think, some kind of innate heart condition, we were told. We're going to look at both of them. Len Bias first. Len Bias, like I said, was a Celtic, 1986, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, where Boston is. Leonard Kevin Bias looks like United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. And when we date back to the Queen's coronation and forward to December 17th, monarchy of the United Kingdom. Never complain, never explain. That's Len Bias. Reggie Lewis, his real name was Reginald C. Lewis, died on a date that spells Reginald C. Lewis. And when you sync forward to September 11th, 2001, you get Reginald C. Lewis. Not making that up. Look. Then we date forward to December 17th, 2022. We get what is technically not in Boston, just across the river in Cambridge. Close enough. Kendall Square, the most innovative square mile on the planet. Jesus of Nazareth. So that's Len Bias and Reggie Lewis. Now, Mike Bratz is alive and well, as far as I know, but he had a free throw streak that ended at 57 games on March 2nd, 1980. What could I possibly get from this day? Never complain, never explain. Mike Bratz, free throw. Never complain, never explain. Date forward to December 17th, 2022, Harvard University. Why does that matter? Because Mike Bratz looks like Harvard University. Now, they didn't hurt this guy. I think he's fine. They just do things like this. You have to wonder why. Always tied to this date, you know? Always tied to December 17th. We've seen Harvard. It's got its own video. We've seen it a bunch of times. On to The Simpsons. This is going to be a long episode. Dangers on a Train. Episode 530. Her Majesty the Queen. Air date 5/19. Queen. The train was called Majestic Marge. What do we get if we date to the Queen's death? Her Majesty the Queen. Majestic. Majesty. Majesty. Queen. 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 The episode even had Downton Abbey in it. Unreal. I don't know what to tell you if you don't believe this. I don't know what to tell you. Go watch CNN or something. Sync the episode with December 17th. We get Charles twice. And as always, it gets worse. That train was Pennsylvania Station. Like we saw in Batman Begins, the Dark Knight trilogy. And for some reason, Penn Station and Rockefeller Center kind of go together, as we'll see in the movie Rocky in a few minutes. 5:30 means Rockefeller Center, 2422 Pennsylvania Station, so that was the train. Title matches, it really matches Rockefeller Center. We do our syncing like we always do to December 17th. We get the British Empire building to go along with the theme of the Queen. This is one of the 4 or 5 buildings in Rockefeller Plaza. This is the big one, though. This is Rockefeller Center, 630 Fifth Avenue, Rockefeller Center. You got to turn words upside down sometimes. 3773, 3773. Now, Penn Station is underneath Madison Square Garden, and they also mentioned Madison in this episode. Dolly Madison, Ashley Madison. Unreal. And as much as I've shown you, we're still not finished. I never got into the twin eclipses in this video series, but there are 2,422 days between them, just like episode 2422. And they chose the title to match twin eclipses. And the Simpsons logo, if you flip it around, you get 2422. 2422. That's on the bottom line. The upper row is 911. 911. And the plane. So now we're finished with that episode. On to Rocky. Like I said, Rocky means Rockefeller Center, and the train that you were constantly seeing in that movie and hearing was Penn Station. Philadelphia is in Pennsylvania. That's where that movie was set. Date to December 17th. From these 2 release dates, you get a building in Rockefeller Center, Palazzo d'Italia. That's why Rocky was Italian. And the train, Penn Station, that you just see so many times in this movie. Here he is on his training run, and the train comes by. Here he is meeting his boss, and the train comes by. He's talking with his boss. You can see a train up there. Shaking hands with Mickey, his trainer. The train comes by at the same instant. You see this train so many times throughout this movie. Even when you don't see it, you hear it. Any director would say that's overdone. They were telling us something. I turned the subtitles on for this. Here's Rocky in the back seat talking to his boss. His boss says, collect from a guy named Del Rio. And Rocky says, how do you spell Del Rio? That's it. 14 minutes into the movie. A minute later, he says again, how do you spell Del Rio? You spell it like Rockefeller Center, 630 Fifth Avenue. This is what they're telling you. You would think a location in Philadelphia would be synced. As far as I know, there wasn't, but if there is, I'm guessing the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. The Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, like the sign says. I usually don't include that word. I didn't notice that it was synchronized or predicted in this movie, but who knows? Maybe it was. Finally, we're going to sync the Queen's death to both September 11th and December 17th, 2022. Sync it to September 11th, never complain, never explain. 1952, just like the year she came to the throne. Now, syncing it with December 17th, it's going to be hard because we don't have 4-digit numbers. I think if you don't get a number into the 4 digits, you can't really be all that confident sometimes that it's real. We don't have big numbers to work with here, so how are we going to pull a 4-digit number out of this? 101 days, that's the 26th prime. 26 spells God in the first cipher. They probably think they are sometimes, but no, that's not the real message. I think you have to write out 26th prime. There's the message. It's like a middle finger, you know? It really is like a middle finger. I feel like cussing right now, but I'm not going to. That's the end. That's the video. Everything is planned out. Hollywood, sports, the people who rule you and tell you they're your friends. They know everything that's going to happen. They only pretend to act surprised when it does.